They left Maya Carter off the rescue team because they thought she belonged behind the map, not in the water. The words were never spoken aloud. They did not need to be. Maya had heard the decision in the silence that followed Commander Mark Sullivan's briefing. Ethan Brooks was going in. Cole Bennett was leading. Ryan Foster and Daniel Hayes would support them. Maya would stay behind at the command post, watching the river through a wall of glass and radio static. Outside, rain hammered the concrete like thrown gravel. Beyond the base, the river had swallowed the lower road and turned the surrounding fields into a sheet of brown water. Maya stood beside the operations table, studying the flood map. Her eyes moved past the rescue zone and stopped upstream. A red flood marker stood beside an old service road. The current water level should have been below it. It wasn't. Maya. Cole's voice came from behind her. She turned. He was already wearing his rescue gear. You good? Maya looked at the map. The water is rising faster than the forecast. Cole glanced at the numbers. We know. No. You know the river is rising. I'm saying the pattern changed. Cole gave the map another look. We have a window. Maya said nothing. Ethan walked past them, carrying his equipment bag. He stopped briefly. You coming? Maya looked at him. Not this time. Ethan gave a small nod, as though the answer had already been decided. Then he followed Cole toward the vehicles. Maya watched them disappear through the rain. She returned to the map. The red marker bothered her. So did the narrow channel running behind the rescue zone. It should have been nearly dry according to the old survey. Instead, water was already moving through it. Maya traced the channel with one finger. It disappeared beneath an abandoned service road before reconnecting with the main river farther downstream. She looked toward the window. A flash of lightning revealed the distant floodplain for half a second. Then darkness returned. The radio crackled. Rescue 1 departing. Maya picked up the handset. Command copies. She listened as the team moved toward the flooded area. Ethan's voice came through clearly. Visibility is dropping. Cole answered. Keep moving. Maya looked again at the red marker. Water had reached its upper edge. Her expression tightened. She reached for the radio. Cole, hold your approach. Static interrupted her. She tried again. Cole, the water is moving faster than. A violent burst of interference swallowed the rest. Then came a sound beneath the static. A deep, distant roar. Maya looked toward the river. The flood had just changed direction. The flood had changed direction. Maya Carter knew it before the radio operator did, before the instruments confirmed it, before anyone at the command post had time to understand what the river was doing. She stood beside the operations table, listening to the low roar beyond the walls. Rescue 1, report. Cole Bennett's voice came through broken static. Approaching the lower channel now. Maya looked at the map. Cole, slow down. Silence. Then Ethan Brooks answered. We have visual on the structure. Maya's eyes narrowed. The old service road should have been dry. Instead, brown water swept across it in a widening sheet. She moved to the window. Lightning flashed over the floodplain. For one brief second, she saw the river clearly. The main current was not moving toward the rescue zone anymore. It was splitting. One channel pushed east. Another disappeared beneath the abandoned road. Maya returned to the map and traced the hidden channel with her finger. They're going toward the wrong side. The radio crackled. Maya, say again. She grabbed the handset. The current is pulling into the secondary channel. Do not cross the lower road. Cole answered immediately. We're already there. Her stomach tightened. Back out. Static. Cole. Nothing. Maya tried again. Cole, respond. A sharp burst of interference filled the room. Then Ethan's voice appeared, faint and distant. Visibility is gone. Maya stared at the map. The words came through once more. We're losing the line. Then silence. The room seemed suddenly too quiet. Maya looked at the flood marker outside. Water had climbed past the red line. That marker had been built to warn people when the river became dangerous. Tonight, the river had passed it without slowing. Launch the secondary team, someone said. Maya turned. Not yet. The operator looked at her. Why? Maya pointed to the map. Because the current is moving beneath the road. She drew a line with her finger. If they enter from here, they could be pulled into the same channel. The operator hesitated. Then where do we search? Maya looked toward the river again. Rain streamed down the glass. Somewhere out there, Ethan Brooks was still underwater, and the team that had gone to rescue him had just lost the safest route back. She studied the old service channel one more time. There was a gap in the survey. A blank section where the map showed nothing but concrete and shadow. Maya reached for the radio. Get me the old flood control plans. A technician hurried toward the archive terminal. Seconds later, a faded engineering diagram appeared on the screen. Maya leaned closer. The abandoned road was not just a road. Beneath it ran a maintenance passage connecting the secondary channel to the river. Her expression changed. That's where the water is going. The technician looked at her. And Ethan? Maya stared at the underground line. If he was pulled with the current, she stopped. The answer was still incomplete. Then the radio crackled once. Ethan's voice came through, barely audible. I'm pinned. Maya looked up. The room froze. The best diver on the team was no longer moving with the river. He was trapped somewhere beneath it. The radio went silent after Ethan Brooks said, I'm pinned. Maya Carter stared at the old maintenance diagram, one finger resting on the narrow passage beneath the abandoned road. Around her, the command post had gone still. The river hammered against the flood barriers outside, and every few seconds another burst of static crawled across the radio. Last known position? Cole Bennett asked. Maya pointed to the map. Here. But the current was moving east. Cole stepped closer. Then we send the secondary team from the west. Maya shook her head. Too exposed. We don't have time. That's exactly why we can't rush. Cole looked at her. For the first time since the mission began, there was no argument in his expression. Only urgency. Maya traced the maintenance tunnel again. It connected the secondary channel to an older concrete intake farther downstream. If Ethan had been pulled through the flooded channel, the tunnel was the most likely place he could have become trapped. But the map was decades old. The structure might have changed. Some sections could already be underwater. We need the old plans, Maya said. A technician brought up another engineering file. A faded diagram appeared beside the first. Maya leaned closer. There. A service access point. Then another. She followed the lines with her finger until they reached a narrow chamber beneath the road. There's a second entrance. Cole looked at the diagram. Can we reach it? From downstream. How? Maya pointed toward the riverbank. By staying out of the main current. Cole studied the route. You're asking the team to move around the flood. I'm asking them to stop fighting the strongest part of it. The radio crackled again. Everyone froze. A faint voice came through. Maya, she grabbed the handset. Ethan. Static. Then his voice, weak but clear enough. Visibility, 0, something above me, the transmission died. Maya closed her eyes for 1 second. He was alive. But his location was changing. "We move now," Cole said. Maya looked at him. "We move carefully." Daniel Hayes began gathering the rescue equipment. Ryan Foster secured the communications kit. Cole checked the surface line. Maya studied the water through the window. The current had begun pulling debris toward the abandoned road. That confirmed her theory. The water was entering the maintenance system. "Cole." He looked back. "What?" "If we approach from the old road, we risk getting pulled into the same channel." She pointed downstream. "We use the lower bank, then enter from the second access point." Cole nodded slowly. "You lead the route." Maya hesitated. Those were the words nobody had used in the briefing. She picked up the map. "I'll lead the navigation." "You lead the rescue team." Cole gave a single nod. "Deal." They moved toward the exit. Rain struck the doors as they opened. Beyond them, the flood roared through the darkness. Maya stepped into it with the map secured beneath her jacket. Behind her came Cole, Daniel, and Ryan. Somewhere beneath the water, Ethan was waiting. And the river was still rising. Rain struck the riverbank hard enough to blur the world beyond 10 yards. Maya Carter moved along the higher ground with the map secured beneath her jacket, following the old maintenance route toward the second access point. Behind her, Cole Bennett carried the rescue line while Daniel Hayes checked the equipment. Ryan Foster stayed near the rear, keeping the radio protected beneath his rain shell. "There," Maya said. She pointed through the trees. A concrete wall emerged from the floodwater, barely visible beneath the gray surface. Cole stopped beside her. "That's the access point." Maya nodded. "According to the old plans." He looked at the water covering the lower steps. "According to the old plans." Maya crouched near the edge and studied the current. It moved past the structure in two directions, one stream pulling toward the main river, another disappearing beneath the concrete. "The entrance is below us." Daniel Hayes looked at the rising water. "How far?" "Far enough." Maya checked the flood marker attached to the wall. The water had already passed its highest painted line. She looked at the map again. "We need to stay above the current until we reach the service entrance." Cole nodded. "Lead the route." They moved along the concrete wall, keeping their footing on the narrow strip of higher ground. Every few yards, Maya stopped to inspect the water before continuing. She was not looking for the fastest path. She was looking for the path the flood had not taken. Then Ryan raised his hand. "Signal." Everyone stopped. A faint electronic tone came through his receiver. Once. Then silence. Maya turned toward the sound. "Direction?" Ryan checked the display. "Below us. Maybe 50 yards. Cole looked toward the flooded channel. "That could be Ethan." Maya studied the water. A cluster of debris was moving slowly toward the eastern bank. Behind it, the current formed a narrow circular pattern. She pointed. "There's a pull beneath that section." Cole followed her finger. "The tunnel." "Maybe." Maya looked at the concrete wall. "The water is entering somewhere under it." Daniel secured the rescue line. "Then we find the entrance." They descended only as far as the structure allowed, staying above the strongest flow. Maya found a narrow metal ladder fixed against the concrete. The lower steps disappeared beneath dark water. She touched the railing. It was solid. "This is it." Cole looked down. "Can we go in?" Maya shook her head. "Not yet." She looked at the current again. "We need to know where it exits." Ryan moved along the upper wall and found another opening farther downstream. "Second access." Maya joined him. The opening was partly covered by debris, but water was flowing outward through it. She stared at the movement. Then she understood. The tunnel connects both sides. Cole looked toward her. So Ethan could be between them. Maya nodded. If the current carried him in, he may have been pushed into a chamber instead of the main river. A faint light appeared beneath the water near the first entrance. Everyone froze. It flickered once. Then disappeared. Daniel whispered, "What was that?" Maya stared into the darkness. His dive light. Cole looked at the rising water. Then we know where he is. Maya tightened the strap on her equipment. No. We know where he might be. The difference mattered. She looked at the old tunnel, then at the flood moving around it. And before we go in, we need to know how to get him back out. Behind them, thunder rolled across the river. The water rose another inch. The water rose another inch. Maya Carter watched the measurement mark on the concrete wall disappear beneath the brown surface. "We have a narrowing window," she said. Cole Bennett checked the rescue line, then looked toward the submerged entrance. "How do we get him out?" Maya unfolded the old maintenance plans across a dry section of concrete. She traced the tunnel from the first access point to the downstream chamber. "We don't enter from here." Cole frowned. "Why?" "The current is strongest at this entrance. If Ethan is trapped beyond the chamber, anyone entering here could be pushed deeper before reaching him." Daniel Hayes leaned over the map. "The second access is calmer." Maya nodded. "And it gives us a controlled exit." Ryan Foster checked the radio. Still nothing from Ethan. Maya looked toward the dark water. "Then we assume he's still alive and can serve the window." Cole secured the surface line around his harness. "What do you need?" Maya pointed toward the downstream opening. "Anchor the line there. Daniel goes with me. Ryan stays on communications. You manage the surface team." Cole nodded. "Understood." There was no argument this time. The team moved downstream along the concrete wall. Rain continued striking the river, but the current near the second entrance was noticeably slower. Maya tested the anchor point before securing the line. It held. She checked the water level again. "Higher. We go now." Daniel adjusted his equipment. "Ready." Maya entered the water first. The current pressed against her legs, then her waist, but the safety line remained tight behind her. Daniel followed. The entrance disappeared beneath the surface. Darkness closed around them. Maya switched on her light. The beam revealed a narrow concrete passage filled with suspended silt. She moved slowly, checking the walls and ceiling before each step. Daniel followed close behind. The radio signal weakened immediately. "Maya," Ryan's voice crackled through her receiver. "Signal is degrading." "Copy." She continued. The tunnel widened into a small chamber. Debris floated near the ceiling. A broken maintenance ladder hung against one wall. Maya swept her light across the chamber. Nothing. Then she saw it. A faint beam flickered behind a section of collapsed metal. Ethan's dive light. Maya moved closer. "Ethan." For several seconds, there was no answer. Then came 3 dull taps. Daniel pointed toward the metal structure. Maya nodded. Ethan was alive. But the debris had pinned him beneath a narrow section of the tunnel. Maya checked the current around the obstruction. Water was moving faster behind it. "We can't pull him straight out," she said. Daniel looked at the structure. "Then we clear it." Maya shook her head. "If we move that piece, the current could shift everything." She studied the chamber again. The old diagram showed a secondary maintenance recess behind the wall. She swept her light across the concrete until she found a narrow opening. "There." Daniel followed her gaze. "Alternate route?" "Possibly." Maya moved toward it, then stopped. A deep vibration traveled through the tunnel. Dust drifted from the ceiling. The water level rose against her gear. Maya looked back at Ethan's faint light. Then toward the dark passage beside her. "We have to move carefully." Ethan's voice finally came through, weak but clear. "Maya?" She answered immediately. "I'm here." A pause. "Don't let the water take the line." Maya tightened her grip on the safety rope. "It won't." Behind them, something shifted in the darkness. The vibration came again. This time, the tunnel wall trembled beneath Maya Carter's glove. Fine grit drifted from the ceiling and disappeared into the brown water. Daniel Hayes looked toward the entrance. "We need to move." Maya nodded. "Not yet." She swept her light across the chamber. Ethan Brooks was trapped beneath a section of twisted metal, his dive light still glowing beside him. The water around his shoulders was rising. "Ethan, can you move your legs?" Maya called. "A little." "Good. Don't force them." Daniel secured the second line around the structure. "What's the plan?" Maya pointed toward the narrow maintenance recess. "We use that opening to get behind him." Daniel looked at the gap. "It's barely wide enough. Then we make it work." She moved first, keeping one hand on the wall and the other on the safety line. The passage narrowed immediately. Her shoulder brushed concrete. Water pushed against her gear. Behind her, Daniel followed carefully. When they reached the other side of the obstruction, Maya found a small chamber hidden behind the wall. An old service ladder descended into darkness. She raised her light. "There's another way around." Daniel looked at the diagram clipped beneath her arm. "That matches the old plans." Maya nodded. "Barely." They moved back toward Ethan. "Ethan, we found a second route." His reply was faint. "Then get me out." Maya reached the obstruction and examined the metal frame. It had shifted against his equipment, but it was not completely fixed. "Daniel, on my signal, lift this side. I'll guide Ethan through." Daniel positioned himself. "Ready." Maya looked at Ethan. "When I say move, keep your body low." Ethan nodded. She checked the current again. The water was flowing faster. The chamber was filling. "Now." Daniel lifted. Maya pulled the loose section just enough to create space. Ethan moved one arm forward. Then his shoulder. The metal shifted. Maya stopped immediately. "Hold." Everyone froze. A deep groan traveled through the structure. For a second, the tunnel seemed to breathe. Then the pressure eased. "Again," Maya said. Daniel lifted. Ethan pushed. Maya guided him through the opening and toward the maintenance recess. His dive light swept across the wall, catching Maya's face for an instant. "Almost there," she said. Ethan dragged himself forward. Daniel secured him to the secondary line. "Got him." Maya looked toward the tunnel entrance. The water had risen nearly to the lower edge of the maintenance recess. "We leave now." They moved through the narrow passage. Ethan's breathing was heavy, but steady. Daniel supported him from behind while Maya led the way. Halfway through, the radio crackled. Ryan's voice came through. "Surface team to Maya. Water level is rising fast." "Copy. You have maybe 2 minutes." Maya glanced at Ethan. "We need one." They reached the ladder. Maya climbed first and signaled Daniel. He helped Ethan upward while the surface team pulled the safety line from above. Then the tunnel shook again. A section of debris collapsed behind them, sending a wave through the passage. Maya grabbed the ladder. Daniel held Ethan steady. For several seconds, the water surged around their legs. Then it dropped slightly. "Go." Maya shouted. They climbed. One step. Another. Another. Ethan reached the upper platform first. Daniel followed. Maya came last, pulling the safety line free as she emerged into the rain. Cole Bennett grabbed Ethan's harness and helped him onto solid ground. Everyone stood still for a moment. Ethan removed his mask and breathed deeply. Maya looked back at the tunnel entrance. Water poured through it, swallowing the path they had just used. Cole turned toward her. You were right. Maya shook her head. The water was right. Ethan looked at her through the rain. You found me. Maya met his eyes. We found you. Behind them, the flood continued to rise. But Ethan was standing. And for the first time that night, the rescue team had something the river could not take away, a way home. The flood did not wait for the rescue team to celebrate. Within minutes, the rain intensified again, turning the riverbank into a gray curtain of water and mud. Ethan Brooks sat against the concrete wall while Daniel Hayes checked him over. His breathing had steadied, but his face remained pale beneath the rain. Cole Bennett crouched beside him. Can you stand? Ethan nodded. Give me a second. Maya Carter watched the river instead. The tunnel entrance was disappearing beneath the rising water. She looked at the flood marker. Another inch. Maybe 2. We need to move uphill, she said. Cole looked toward the extraction vehicles. That's the plan. Maya shook her head. Not that way. She pointed toward the eastern bank. The main road is already taking water. Ryan Foster checked the radio. Command says the road is still passable. Maya looked at him. For now. She folded the old maintenance map and secured it beneath her jacket. The river has already changed twice tonight. We don't follow the road just because the map says it exists. Cole studied the water for a moment. Then he nodded. Lead us. They moved. Ethan walked between Cole and Daniel, one hand gripping each of their shoulders. Maya stayed ahead, searching for higher ground. Ryan followed with the radio. Behind them, the flooded tunnel disappeared completely. The route they had used minutes earlier was gone. Maya found a narrow concrete embankment rising toward the service road. There. They climbed. Mud pulled at their boots, but the ground held. Halfway up, Ryan stopped. Command is calling. He raised the radio. Rescue team, report. Cole answered. Diver recovered. Moving to high ground. Static followed. Then a new transmission. Flood warning upgraded. Evacuation route changing. Maya looked toward the road. What did they say? Ryan repeated the message. Route changing. Maya stared at the river. For a moment, the entire landscape seemed to rearrange itself beneath the rain. The safest path was no longer the path they had planned. It was the one that remained above the water. Keep east, she said. There's higher ground beyond those trees. Cole nodded. Nobody questioned it. They crossed the embankment slowly. Ethan stopped once, breathing hard. Maya turned back. Need a break? He shook his head. I can keep moving. Maya waited anyway. Then we moved together. They continued. The rain softened as they reached the trees. Beyond the branches, a pale line appeared on the horizon. Dawn was still distant, but the darkness was beginning to thin. Ethan looked at Maya. You know, when they left you off the team, Maya glanced at him. I remember. I thought they were making the right call. She said nothing. Ethan looked toward the river behind them. I was wrong. Maya tightened the strap of her gear. You were following the information you had. Ethan gave a tired smile. And you were looking for what we didn't have. They reached the high ground just as another surge swept through the lower valley. From above, the flooded landscape looked almost calm. But Maya could see the current moving beneath the surface, carrying branches, debris, and pieces of the old road downstream. Cole stood beside her. "You saved him." Maya watched Ethan lean against the vehicle while Daniel helped him inside. "We saved him." Cole looked at the team. Then at Maya. This time, there was no correction. No argument. Only a quiet acknowledgement. Behind them, the river kept moving. Ahead, the first light of morning began to break through the clouds. By the time the rescue vehicles reached higher ground, the storm had begun to weaken. Rain still fell across the floodplain, but the violent roar of the river had softened into a deep, steady rumble. Ethan Brooks sat inside the open rear compartment, wrapped in a dry blanket while Daniel Hayes checked his equipment and monitored his condition. Cole Bennett stood beside the vehicle, staring toward the flooded valley. Maya Carter remained several yards away, watching the water. Dawn was beginning to reveal the shape of the landscape. "You should sit down," Cole said. Maya shook her head. "In a minute." She was looking at the eastern channel. The current had slowed, but one section still moved strangely beneath the surface. It formed a long, dark line before disappearing behind the trees. Ryan Foster walked toward her with the radio. "Command wants a full status report." Maya turned. "Tell them Ethan is stable. Everyone is accounted for." Ryan nodded and spoke into the handset. A response came almost immediately. "Copy. All personnel accounted for. Hold position until evacuation route is confirmed." Maya lowered her eyes to the map. The official evacuation route ran along the western road. But that road was now partially submerged. She traced another line toward higher ground. "The western road won't hold." Cole looked over. "Command just told us to use it. Command doesn't have a current view of the floodplain." Cole glanced at the river. "Then what do you suggest?" Maya pointed toward a narrow ridge beyond the trees. "We take the service embankment east, then cut north." Ryan checked the map. "That adds distance. It keeps us above the water." Cole studied the route. He looked at Ethan, then back at Maya. "We move east." No hesitation this time. The team began preparing. Ethan stood slowly. Daniel offered his arm. "Easy." Ethan nodded. "I've got it." Maya watched him take one careful step, then another. He was tired, but steady. The group moved along the higher ground as the first sunlight broke through the clouds. Behind them, the flooded road disappeared beneath another surge. Ahead, the embankment remained dry. For several minutes, nobody spoke. Then Ethan walked beside Maya. "I owe you one." Maya kept her eyes on the route. "You don't owe me anything. You came after me. We came after you." Ethan smiled faintly. "You really like that distinction." Maya finally looked at him. "Because it matters." Ethan nodded. They continued. At the top of the embankment, everyone stopped. From there, the entire valley was visible. Water covered the fields, surrounded the old service road, and flowed around the concrete structures below. The place where Ethan had disappeared was almost completely submerged. Cole stood beside Maya. "If we had taken the western route," he stopped. Maya looked at the river. "We didn't." The radio crackled. "Rescue team, extraction route confirmed. Proceed to northern staging area." Ryan raised the handset. "Copy." Cole turned toward the team. "You heard him." They started walking again. Ethan looked back once at the flooded valley. Then he looked at Maya. "You know what's strange?" "What?" "They left you off the rescue team." Maya gave a small, tired smile. "I remember. Ethan looked ahead. Next time, I'm making sure you're on it. Maya said nothing. The sun rose higher behind the clouds. 6 figures moved together along the ridge, leaving the flood behind. They had not beaten the river. They had learned to read it. And that difference had brought everyone out alive. The question was no longer whether Maya Carter belonged on the rescue team. It was why they had ever left her off it. 3 days after the flood, the river had fallen back into its banks, leaving behind broken branches, mud-stained concrete, and a silence that felt strangely different from the storm. At the command center, the rescue report lay open beneath a single white light. Ethan Brooks sat across the table, his dive gear already cleaned and packed away. Cole Bennett stood near the window. Ryan Foster and Daniel Hayes waited quietly behind him. Commander Mark Sullivan turned one page, then another. The official report says the diver was recovered through the secondary maintenance access. He looked toward Maya. Who identified that route? Maya did not answer immediately. She glanced at Ethan. He gave the smallest nod. The water did, she said. Commander Sullivan studied her for a moment. Explain. Maya unfolded the same flood map she had carried that night. The red flood marker was still visible. She placed her finger beside it. The water passed the warning level before the rescue team entered. That changed the current. Once it split, the secondary channel became the strongest clue. Cole looked down at the map. I missed it. Maya looked at him. So did I at first. Cole shook his head. No. You noticed it. The room became quiet. Ethan leaned forward. She noticed the marker. She noticed the current. And when my radio went down, she understood where the water was taking me. He paused. I was looking for a way out. She was looking for the way the water had trapped me. Maya lowered her eyes. She had never considered the night a victory. There had been too many variables, too many moments when another decision could have changed the outcome. But Ethan was alive. That was enough. Commander Sullivan closed the report. Cole, why wasn't Carter on the original rescue team? Cole looked through the window toward the river. For several seconds, he said nothing. Because I thought the best diver needed the strongest rescue team around him. He turned toward Maya. I didn't understand that the strongest team also needed the person who could see what we couldn't. Ethan smiled faintly. That's a better answer than the one you gave before the mission. A quiet laugh moved through the room. Even Maya smiled. Commander Sullivan stood and placed a new map on the table. Next operation begins Friday. Maya looked at it. Who's leading? He slid the map toward her. You are. No speech followed. No applause. Cole simply stood. Ethan stood with him. Then Ryan and Daniel rose from their chairs. Maya looked around the room. Nobody had been ordered to follow her. They simply waited. She picked up the map. All right. Outside, morning sunlight touched the river, now calm beneath a pale sky. The flood had left its marks along the banks, but the water had returned to its natural course. Maya stepped toward the door. Ethan followed. Then Cole. Then the others. The river had taught them something the briefing room never could: leadership was not always about who was chosen first. Sometimes it belonged to the person who stayed calm long enough to notice what everyone else had missed. And sometimes, the person left behind was the one who knew the way home.